Hello everyone, welcome back. In our last lesson, we looked at the concept of surd. We looked at rational number, irrational number. So in today's lesson, we're going to look at the four rules of surd. Remember in our last lesson, we said that surd are irrational numbers that can be expressed in form of roots of rational numbers. So root 7, root 2, root 3, root 5, we say they are all rational number. And we say that root 4 is not a rational number because we're going to have an exact value which is 2, and 2 can be expressed as a fraction. So in today's lesson, we're going to look at the four rules of surd. What are the four rules of surd? Rule number 1. Now the rule number 1, which is multiplication rule. When you have two integers p and q multiplying each other, so this is p times q. Now the rule is saying that you're gonna have it can be expressed as root p times root q. So this is multiplication law of surd. When you have two integers p and q multiplying each other, so roots of p and q can be expressed as root p multiplied by root q. For example, if we have root 12, so root 12 can be expressed as root 4, all right, can be times root 3. Let me say root 3, yeah. Remember that 4 times 3 is giving us 12. Or you can still choose to express it this way as, let me say root 6. Alright, root 6 times root 2. Okay. Conversely, if you are given root 4 times root 3, you can also express it as root 4 times 3, which is equal to root 12. So this is what multiplication rule is all about. Now let's look at the next rule, which is division rule. Rule number 2 is saying that if we have two integers, p over q, ratio of two integers in a root, now this can be expressed as root p divided by root q. For example, if we have, let's say, root 7 over 2, right? Now, root 7 over 2 can be expressed as root 7 divided by root 2. These are basically simple rules, but when we start applying them in complex questions, you really know how to navigate around them. Now, let's move to the next rule, okay, which is let me call it addition rule. Rule number 3, that's the addition rule. Now, what is the rule all about? Now, rule number 3, which is addition rule, if when you have two integers that adds up, let me say p plus q. All right. Now, the rule is saying that when you have two integers that are adding with a root, now it's not going to be equal to root p plus root q. Please take note of this rule. This rule is very, very important because a lot of students make mistakes in WAEC questions. You see many students adding up roots of a number plus root of another number to be this. Now, for example, let's see if you are given take for instance you're given root 2 plus root 3. Let's say we have root 2 plus root 3. Take note that this is not going to be equal to is not going to be equal to root 2 plus 3. This is wrong. You now say is equal to root, is not equal to this, please. 2 plus 3, this is wrong. If you do this in WAEC, you'll be marked wrong. This is very wrong. Okay, it is not equal to. So take note that root 2 plus root 3 is not equal to this. Even though you have, let me say, root 4 plus root 5. Take note, it is not going to be equal to root 4 plus 5. This is wrong. This is wrong. Okay, but let's compare this with rule 1, which is the multiplication rule over here. Now, assuming this is times, then this can hold. Now, take for instance, you are given root 4, okay, times root 5. Then it is going to be equal to root 4 times 5. This is correct. If it is times, it's correct. Okay, which is equal to root 20. Very, very correct. So this is what? Correct. Is that clear? If it is times, this can hold. But if it is plus, take note, it cannot hold. That is rule number 3. Very important rule. Now, let's look at the last rule, which is rule number 4. Now, rule number 4 is subtraction rule. Now, when you have two integers, let me say root p minus q, okay? Take note, it is not going to be equal to root p minus root q. It's not going to be equal to this. Now, this rule is similar to addition rule, right? So take for instance, you are given root 7, okay, in WAEC or in exam, you're given root 7 minus, let me say, root 2. Take note, it is not going to be equal to root 7 minus 2. This is totally wrong. So this rule, when you do this, you'll be wrong. Then you now say that the answer is 5. No, this is wrong. This is wrong. When you do this in WAEC, it will be marked wrong for you. This is wrong. Is that clear? So this is basically the rules that governs the operation of sort. But take note that assuming we have let me say root 7 times root 2. So this can be written as root 7 times 2, which is equal to root 14. This is very, very correct. This is very correct. So these are the rules that governs the operation of sort. So once you understand these rules, you'll be able to carry out simplification and any form of problem that arises in sort. So the first rule is the multiplication rule. That when you have two integers, two numbers multiplying, then you can be able to express them like this. So you can separate them in terms of root. But if it is addition, if they are adding, take note, you cannot be able to separate them. Take note. Okay, so this is for multiplication. Then we also looked at division, that when you have two integers, root of two integers that are dividing more like a fraction, so you can also be able to separate them. So we gave an example that when you have root 7 over 2, it can be separated. Take the numerator root 7, take the denominator root 2. Okay, but for addition, you cannot be able to separate the integers. So when you have root p plus q to be equal to root p plus, it cannot be equal to root p plus q. So this symbol means it cannot, is not equal to root p plus root q. So the reverse is the case. If you also have root p plus root q, it is not equal to p plus q combined together. So take note. So these are the rules that governs the operation of sort. In the next lesson, we're going to look at basic forms of sort, similar sort, and conjugate sort. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.